All right, here we have Google will start auto-deleting abortion clinic visits from user location history. Google says it will start automatically deleting visits to abortion clinics, domestic violence shelters, weight loss clinics, and other potential sensitive locations from users' location histories in the coming weeks. And now this is interesting because we just saw a case whereby I don't know if it's the state or if it was the federal government, but basically there was a reverse keyword search warrant applied on a location of a house that was burnt down. And so Google here saying that they're going to delete this keyword information, these search histories, is relevant, I would imagine, indirectly to reverse keyword searches, reverse keyword warrants. So this is interesting because Google's basically altering what they're storing on the back-end servers. And I wonder the implications here. So for people who have no clue why this is relevant, actually they're probably going to say here with the sort of Supreme Court rolling back Roe versus Wade, people are afraid that search terms of where the nearest abortion clinic is will become evidence in a criminal case against them. And so Google is basically saying, hey, we're not going to record that data. We're going to delete that data, which is very interesting. And I wonder the implications of that in the long term. In a blog post on Friday, the company says that the deletion will happen soon after the visit, once its systems have identified that a trip was made to one of the locations. This change is happening in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling, rolling back Roe v. Wade, several states immediately moving to outlaw abortions. Google's post entitled Protecting People's Privacy on Health Topics also mentions that there's an update coming from Fitbit that will let you delete multiple menstruation logs at once if you've been using the health tracking feature. Such logs could be used as evidence in court that someone obtained an illegal abortion. While Google legally has to comply with demands for data and could be compelled to turn over those logs if they exist, the company does reiterate that it will continue to oppose demands that are overly broad or otherwise legally objectionable. Google also says that it will notify users when it gives their data to the government, unless it's been ordered not to do so or there is a pressing security issue. I didn't even know that they did that they notify people that their data has been handed over unless it's these certain conditions. You can, of course, turn off Google's location logging altogether. I did not know that. I didn't know you could even do that. So on that past article, it really relates to what's being collected. And Google is choosing to not collect certain information once they identify that it is for abortions or what have you. And it's interesting because there are now legal cases that are using search keyword data, and search keyword data warrants are being issued. Here we have Mark Zuckerberg issues dire economic warning to Meta employees. The Zuck has issued a chilling message to Meta Platforms Inc. employees. The company faces one of the worst downturns that we've seen in recent history that will necessitate a scaling back in hires and resources. The dire economic warning was delivered during an internal video conference meeting on Thursday for Meta's 75,000 workers, according to the New York Times. To underscore the ominous message, Zuckerberg told employees to expect to do more with fewer resources and that their performance would be more intensely graded. Zuck says, I think some of you might decide that this place isn't for you and that self-selection is okay with me, Zuckerberg said on a call. Realistically, there are probably a bunch of people at the company who shouldn't be here. Oh, Zuck, you are so eloquent and with how you put things. You really know how to gather morale at your business. Zuck's comments said in a separate memo that Meta faces serious times and economic headwinds are fierce. The most obvious manifestation will be fewer hires. Facebook's parent company now intends to add 6,000 to 7,000 engineers this year, down from the initial goal of 10,000, so about 3,000 or 4,000 less. A former Facebook employee confirmed the Silicon Valley company has significantly reduced its hiring plans in recent months. Meta's advertising business has been badly battered by a change in privacy settings to Apple Inc.'s mobile operating system, limiting the amount of user data that could be collected by Facebook and Instagram. Aw, you can't siphon all of that nitty-gritty detail that you were relying on to sell to advertisement companies all around. Aw, you gonna be okay? Consequently, Meta has posed 2 straight quarterly profit declines for the first time in a decade. Meta lost some $230 billion in market value, its worst one-day hit ever, after it posted results in February. And there were also lawsuits on the reach of the advertisements on Facebook, with allegedly Facebook indicating that the reach was much larger than what the actual advertisements reached, thus inflating their market value. At the same time, Meta is pursuing a risky strategic pivot to the immersive world of the metaverse, which prompted the company's name change last year. Meta is one of several tech companies facing choppy economic waters as it navigates through inflation, a war in Ukraine, and supply chain issues. Other tech companies and Tesla have announced deep job cuts as well. I love Zuck. Zuck's like, hey, some of you probably shouldn't be here. Probably a bunch of people at the company who shouldn't be here. Oh, Zuck, how poetic of you. You're really relating to the people, aren't you, Zuck? I know that may be hard. You know, you in your home where you've bought many homes around you for the extra privacy. Times must be hard for you, Zuck. We have the Associated Press. Germany wants ads influencers to note use of beauty filters. Berlin. Germany state officials said Friday that they want advertisers and social media influencers to label any photos that have used so-called beauty filters. I would imagine this is stemming from the results that we've seen from Facebook's research saying that underage users, I think like 12, 13, preteens, were experiencing higher suicidality and detrimental images of themselves by looking at Instagram and perhaps the people that are using these filters. Critics argue that the filters, which offer easy ways to touch up images and remove supposed blemishes, promote unrealistic standards of beauty, particularly among women and girls. The DPA news agency quoted State Minister for Equality saying that the digital tools should not determine what is considered beautiful or not. Like they say, it's an unrealistic standard because you have people looking at these photos of already arguably models, and then you use digital means to make them look even better, and then you have quote-unquote normal people looking at these individuals thinking, wow, I look hideous compared to that. A majority of officials from Germany's 16 states want the federal government to come up with legislation that would require the labeling of images and videos where beauty filters were used to enhance a person's face, skin, or hair. So essentially, it would say, hey, this photo's been altered digitally. They don't look this good, people. Okay? They don't actually look this good. I've seen it. This is just phoniness. This would apply to commercial advertising and influencers with a significant number of followers. All right, here we have community scientists, even children, produce usable data for researchers. This is brought to us by the Washington Post. Citizen science projects turn ordinary people into researchers, and in the recent years, such efforts have abounded. There's so many, they have abounded. There's plentiful citizen science projects, tackling everything from astronomy to weather information contained in the 19th century whaling ship log. So here we have a picture. Community scientists, even children, produce usable data for researchers. But how good is the data these projects generate? A study in the journal Research Ideas and Outcomes has an answer. Community scientists do surprisingly well in producing accurate data that in turn can further scientific research, even when the participants are young children. The research was undertaken by students and staff at the Field Museum in Chicago, which invited museum goers to participate in a community science project that measured the leaves of liverworts. Okay. The tiny moss-like plants are extremely sensitive to temperature and moisture and can be used to monitor climate change. They are also really hard to see, so museum goers measured microscopic imagery of the leaves using a large touchscreen. Over the course of 2 years, participants were able to measure thousands of leaves. Then a Roosevelt University professor worked with her undergraduate mathematics course to analyze the data. To everyone's surprise, the majority of data was usable, and all age groups produced high-quality information. Even the youngest participants produced great data. Just over half of the measurements done by children under 10 was usable, and 41% of data produced by young children who weren't being helped by adults or others was usable. Not surprisingly, adults produced the most high-quality data, with 77% of their data passing musters. The adults did as well as professional scientists at producing usable measurements. This study demonstrates the wonderful scientific outcomes that occur when an entire community comes together. Basically, we have people labeling data, and we're wondering how much of it is relevant to actually be used in a sort of database to make models on and scientific hypotheses on. Let's allow the 10-year-olds to label the data, please. The benefit did not stop with science. It was a chance for participants to learn and engage with not just science, but also each other as they participated in a communal project. Further projects could produce even more benefits, the researchers write. Scientists who have more specimens than taxonomists can measure or observe, they write, can use crowdsourced measures to accelerate scientific discovery, even as they provide fun fodder for museum goers. Let's allow everyone to label data. Is that a bad idea? Anyways, that's it for today's news.